You've noticed this pattern. The more something matters to you, the harder it is to start. Not the small tasks, not the meaningless deadlines, the things that actually define who you want to become. Those are the ones you avoid. It's confusing, isn't it? You'll spend 3 hours organizing your desk, responding to messages that don't matter, researching equipment you don't need yet. But the project that could change your career, the creative work you actually care about, the conversation that might reshape your relationship, you can't even open the file. And the advice you've heard, just break it into smaller steps, make a schedule, build discipline, doesn't touch what's actually happening. Because this isn't about time management. This is your brain protecting you from something it perceives as dangerous. Here's what you need to understand. You are not lazy. You are not sabotaging yourself. Your brain is running a survival protocol, and it's doing exactly what it evolved to do: keep you safe from threats. The problem is, it can't tell the difference between a physical threat and an identity threat. Let me explain what's happening inside your head. Deep in your brain, there's a structure called the amygdala. Think of it as your internal alarm system. Its job is simple: scan for threats and trigger protection responses. For most of human history, threats were external and physical. Predators, rival tribes, natural disasters. But your amygdala hasn't updated its software. It still responds to threats the same way, by triggering fight, flight, or freeze. Here's where it gets interesting. When a task is meaningless to you, your amygdala stays quiet. There's nothing at stake, no real consequence if you fail. But when something matters deeply, when it's tied to your identity, your future, who you believe you can become, your brain registers it differently. Research shows that the more a goal is connected to your sense of self, the more your amygdala treats failure as a threat to your survival. Not physical survival, identity survival. If you fail at something that defines you, your brain interprets it as, "This could destroy who I am." And so it does what it's designed to do. It protects you by making you avoid the task entirely. There's a second mechanism at play here. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, decision-making, and long-term thinking, requires a lot of energy. When your amygdala sounds the alarm, blood flow and resources get redirected. Your body is preparing to run from danger or fight it, not to sit calmly and work on something cognitively demanding. This is why you feel that physical heaviness, why you suddenly need to do anything else, why scrolling your phone or cleaning your room feels easier. Those behaviors don't trigger the threat response. They feel like safety. One more piece. Neuroscientists have found that anticipating failure activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Your brain doesn't distinguish between "I might fail at this thing I care about" and "I might get hurt." The emotional response is identical. So when you avoid starting, you're not procrastinating. You're engaging in pain avoidance, a completely normal, biological response. Now that you understand the mechanism, here's how you work with it instead of against it. Your amygdala reacts to identity threats, so the first move is to decouple who you are from what you do. Here's why this works psychologically. When you think, "I am a writer," failure at writing threatens your entire identity. When you think, "I'm someone who writes," it's just a behavior, one of many. The shift is subtle, but your brain registers it differently. Practically, this means reframing your internal language. Instead of "I'm building a business," try "I'm someone who's learning to build businesses." Instead of "I'm a creative person," try "I'm exploring creative work." Instead of "I'm pre-med," try "I'm exploring medicine as a career path." Instead of "I'm an artist," try "I'm learning to make art." This reduces the stakes your amygdala perceives.
You're not putting your entire self on the line. You're just trying something. And trying something feels less dangerous than being something. The key is adding qualifiers that create psychological distance. Learning to, exploring, practicing, experimenting with. These words tell your amygdala, this is temporary, this is low stakes. Failure here doesn't destroy me. Remember, your amygdala hijacks your prefrontal cortex when it senses a threat. The solution isn't to fight that response, it's to engage the task before the threat response has time to activate. Research on implementation intentions shows that pre-decided actions bypass the decision-making process entirely. When you remove the decision, you remove the opportunity for your brain to resist. Here's how to implement this. Create a specific, non-negotiable ritual that immediately precedes the high-stakes task. Not, I'll work on my project when I feel ready, but every morning at 8 a.m., I sit at my desk, open the file, and write one sentence before I check anything else. The ritual becomes the cue, and cues trigger automatic behavior. Your amygdala doesn't get a vote. Make the ritual so small and specific that your brain doesn't register it as threatening. You're not working on your novel, you're opening the document. You're not building your business, you're opening your laptop and typing the first word. Once you're in, the activation energy is already spent. The threat response loses its power. Here's what makes a good ritual. Triggered by time or location, at 8 a.m. or when I sit at my desk. Physically tiny, open file, write one word, read one sentence. No quality standards. It can be terrible, that's fine. Takes under 2 minutes before resistance builds. Your amygdala can't fight what it doesn't see coming. Your amygdala learns through experience, and right now it's learned that high-stakes tasks equal danger. You need to teach it something different. Psychologists call this exposure therapy. You gradually expose yourself to the feared thing in doses small enough that your threat response doesn't activate. For tasks tied to identity, this means start with versions of the task where failure is literally impossible. If you're avoiding writing because it matters too much, don't start with write the first chapter. Start with write badly for 5 minutes with no intention of keeping it. Or even smaller, write one terrible sentence, then delete it. The goal isn't output. The goal is exposure without pain. If you're avoiding a difficult conversation, don't start with have the full conversation. Start with write down one thing I'd want to say, then delete it. Or sit in the same room with the person for 5 minutes without bringing it up. If you're avoiding starting a business, don't start with launch my product. Start with research one competitor for 10 minutes, or write a business idea on paper, then throw it away. You're creating experiences where you engage with the task and nothing bad happens. Your brain tracks this. Over time, your amygdala updates its threat assessment. The task becomes familiar. Familiar feels safer than unknown, and safety is what allows you to actually do the work. Here's the timeline. Week 1, do the smallest possible version daily, 5 minutes max. Week 2, same version but 10 minutes. Week 3, slightly more challenging version, still safe. Week 4, notice resistance has decreased. This isn't fast, but it's permanent. Let me tie this together with one simple model. Think of your brain as an alarm system that can't tell the difference between real danger and identity danger. When something matters to you, your alarm goes off, not because you're broken, but because your brain is protecting you from the pain of failing at something that defines you. But avoidance doesn't protect you. It just postpones the fear. You don't need to be braver. You need to make the task feel safer. Start smaller than feels meaningful. Separate who you are from what you do. Build the behavior before you build the stakes. The resistance won't disappear overnight, but it will loosen, one small, safe step at a time.